Year later. The Lavender Town theme came first, playing its normal way, the screen slowly fading in from blackness. Stephen was in the Pokemon Tower, which made the music even stranger, seeing as the tower had its own theme. He was standing in front of a tombstone, not doing anything. Wondering what was going on, I pressed A. Stephen. No response. Confused, I tried walking, realizing I was indeed in control at the moment. I brought up the pause menu and checked my party. Miki was gone. Not just Miki. All Pokemon. He had no money. He had no badges. His playtime was 8,795, which was impossible as I had only logged in 30 before. But that wasn't the strangest part. His picture. The picture of the handsome, confident young trainer was different. His eyes were blank. His face turned slightly down. That smirk of his was gone, replaced by a lack of any expression at all. That long hair of his, before in a perfect perm, was now messy and unkempt. I couldn't look at him anymore. Closing the menu, I went to move out of the tower, but with every step I took away from the tombstone, the screen flickered, like it did when a Pokemon was poisoned. Gulping, I brought up the trainer card again. His picture was getting worse. Every step I took, he hung his head more and more. His shoulders slumped. He bent over. By the time I had exited the tower, he was on his knees, hands to his face, hair draped across him. I'd already guessed what was going on. But this clenched it. I began to put some things together in my mind. I'd always wondered why there was no champion in the original games besides your rival. Why is it you, the protagonist, had to beat your rival when he just waltzed in, no previous champion to challenge? Then it struck me. The answer was right here. The previous champion gave up. His precious Miki was apparently dead, and with her so died a part of him. His Pokedex, the other Pokemon, his badges, his fame, all of it. He threw it away. In that year, the year that I had missed, the year where all those hours came from, I even did the math. There are 8,765 hours in a year. Add that to my 30 from before, and it added up. Even so, the game kept going. This should have been an ending, I thought. I mean, what else was there to do? I had no Pokemon, no Pokedex, not anything. What was I supposed to be doing? I talked to everyone in town, but they all said similar things. Are you okay? Still mourning, I see. Everything will be all right. Please, is there anything we can do? Stephen never replied to them, and they all simply said the same things over and over again. I couldn't put the game down now. This was all so strange. Curious, I headed off into the tall grass, and eventually got into battle with a Rattata. No Pokemon was sent out, just Stephen's sprite. I was wondering how I'd battle. Wild Rattata left you be. The battle ended without anything happening. This was certainly interesting, and it happened with every Pokemon I encountered. Wild Pidgey ignored you. Wild Ponyta wandered off. The music never changed either. No matter where I went, Lavender Town came from the speakers, following me. Sometimes slowed down slightly, and sometimes not. I searched every town, talked to everybody, wondering just what the hell I was supposed to be doing. My frustration was mixing with the depressing atmosphere of all of this. making the experience altogether unnerving and uncomfortable. But I couldn't tear myself away. I was starting to get a bit angry, though. Nobody telling me anything besides giving me their condolences and trying to give me items like lemonade and coffee, each met with, "Stephen, no." I slapped myself for idiocy, suddenly realizing how the likely answer was right in front of me. Pallet Town, of course! When I went there, though, which took a long time, having to walk with no Pokemon to fly with, no bicycle to ride, and Stephen only seemed to move half the regular movement speed, it wasn't much different. I first tried talking to Professor Oak. "These things happen. You were just unlucky." Next I tried Blue's sister. "Please, don't leave home again." Red's mom wouldn't even talk to me. With nowhere else in mind to go, I walked to the west, finding the house from the beginning, which I had never entered since leaving Pallet Town. Inside was Mike, but talking to him was just as useless. "Mike, I'm so sorry." I pondered for a moment if this really was the ending. Stephen doomed to do nothing but roam Kanto in misery, haunted by the memories, forced to listen to everyone's concerns about him. As a last-ditch effort to do anything, I walked to the bedroom and walked over to the bed. "Stephen, I'm going to sleep." The screen faded to black for a moment, but then slowly faded back in, the world having a black tint to it. The Mike sprite lying on the other bed. I assumed this meant it was night. "Stephen, I'm going to do it." "Do what?" Again, I had no idea. I tried inspecting everything in the room. Nothing happened. As soon as I left the house, another dialogue. "Stephen, it can bring her back. It can do anything." What the hell was it? Something that could do anything? I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. Wandering about, I tried to leave Pallet Town the usual way. "Stephen, not that way." He wouldn't go any further. I tried the homes. "Stephen, screw them." I quirked my eyebrow at that, forgetting for a moment that this was not a real Pokemon game. Vulgarity just took me off guard. I continued to look around, but there was nowhere I could go, until I accidentally stepped on the ocean. Stephen walked right in, only the upper half of his body visible, just like the swimmers you encounter in the Cerulean Gym. I didn't know he could swim. Stephen, the missing one. Missing one. I paused for a moment. No, it couldn't possibly mean that I hadn't tried the missing note trick in this hack yet, but it just fit too well. That had to be what he meant. I surfed all the way towards Cinnabar. I began to feel something was off, and more so than this already was. Silence. The Lavender Town theme had stopped. There was no noise at all, nor were there any Pokemon. I just kept going, finding Cinnabar and surfing up and down the east coast. Lo and behold, Wild Missing No appeared. Stephen, mine. Wild Missing No was got. What the hell? Stephen didn't do anything. He just commanded that atrocity of broken data to join him. No, become his possession. And it did. I was getting more and more disturbed by this by the second. Checking the start menu, I saw Missing No was not in my party, but instead an item, making things even stranger. I checked the trainer card as well. Stephen had his back to me, his long hair draped behind him, his hands in his pockets. Nothing else. Remembering what he said at the start of the night, I realized what I had to do. I surfed the land and made my way northeast to... where else? Lavender Town. Along the way, I noticed all the trainers, oddly still out at this hour, wouldn't look at Stephen, all of them turning when he passed, even those that were normally static. I tried talking to one of the officers in the guardhouse-type building things. Just go. They all said the same thing, though one sent chills down my spine. Sometimes dead is best. My hands were sweating at this point. Stephen was about to try the impossible, something some would see as a crime against nature. Many of these people shared that opinion. I steeled myself. It's just a game, and I was going to complete it.